Alright. Hello, chat. How's everybody doing out there, huh? My name's Kefka14. I speedrun a large variety of mostly obscure games. You've probably seen me around running through different marathon circuits, games done quick over the years. But today, I'm running two games for you, back to back actually. Two games out of the Doraemon trilogy. We have Doraemon 2, Noby and the Temple of Light, followed by Doraemon 3, Noby's Found SOS. So I'll explain a little bit more about the category that we're going to be running here and all that good stuff once we get going. Ready to start this thing. Alright, let's get it started. 3, 2, 1. Alright, so like every good 64 game, one starts off with a good old long cutscene. I'll explain a little bit more about the lore and what's going on as we kind of get into it. But basically, this is our main character here, Noby. Everybody say hi, Noby. We're not going to be playing as Noby for too long. Noby is going to get replaced really quick with my favorite character, which is actually optimal to play as my favorite character. Majority of the run, and there's one moment where it's optimal to not, but we're going to play it. We're going to keep playing as her anyway. Alright, so this is Sneech. The beginning of the game here, what's happened is all of our characters have sort of crash landed in this mysterious world called Crystaka. Right here at the beginning, we're walking around and we're trying to find where everybody has went. Right out of the gate, of course, we find Sneech and we find Big G. We're not going to be playing a Sneech or a Big G during the course of the run, unfortunately. But, you know, it's a required story flag. So, the general gameplay loop of the game is go watch a cutscene, pick up an object, get said object, use that object to complete the puzzle. In general, this game is quite easy. I would kind of describe it like a poor man's Zelda, to a degree. What's going on here is we're trying to get past this rock, and all of a sudden a secret gadget fell down here. Now, those of you who don't know anything about the Doraemon series lore as a whole, the character Doraemon, who you will see later, is known for having a lot of secret gadgets, which are basically just like tools that do different crazy wacky things. That particular one there, Shrink Ray. Also, something for Marathon Tech, I can see the feed on Twitch. Very bright. Unusually bright. Brighter than it is on my feed. I'm not sure if there's some sort of brightness filter being applied or not, but worth noting. So, what's happening right now is we're about to pick up the main MacGuffin of the game, basically the Triforce. This is the Crystal of Light. Now, the Crystal of Light is, simply put, the whole main plot of the game is we need to return this crystal, the Pedestal of Light, within the Temple of Light. Hence the title of the game, Noby and the Temple of Light. Now, in order to do that, we got to go get 3 other big crystals so that we can get into the Temple of Light. And, yeah. What's going on right here is this little creature here. This is literally God in this game. And, we're meeting God, basically. Or at least we get a glimpse of the character. We actually meet them proper a little bit later. So, leaving this first area here, leaving the Crystal Forest, the quote-unquote tutorial area, coming into Silveron Plain. An area we're going to be visiting twice, but when we immediately come into it, we get our 4th of 5 characters, Sue. This is who we're going to be playing as for basically the rest of the run, other than one little section. Interestingly, the game actually default selects Sue for you here. So it is optimal to play as Sue for a large majority of the game. And, yeah. There is a spot later where it's technically not optimal. But we're going to lose a second and a half to continue playing as Sue because I like Sue. So coming over here, we're going to meet what I like to call, you know, if anybody's ever like, you know, Mom, I want to meet Zoras. This is like, we have Zoras at home. You know, the Zoras of this game, or the Aberkians. What's happening currently is we can't understand a word that they're saying, but we decide to follow them into their village anyway, sort of investigate the situation. Also, I noticed that the brightness situation was... Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So, going into Aberk Village here, we're going to get another cutscene. This game is basically just a long series of cutscene triggers. And it's interesting because we do have a category that allows us to essentially skip to anywhere we want in the game right at the beginning. And we can't do that because we end up with, well, we end up not being able to do anything because you have to activate a ton of story triggers to actually, you know, not soft lock the game at the end. It's an unfortunate situation. But we're not running that category today. We are running a category that is called Any % No Door Early. We're going to go in this house, talk to that guy. That's sort of the chief of the village, and we can't understand him. Then we heard an object land on the roof. That is the translation gummy. Now we can actually talk to NPC. Alright. So coming out here, he told us just now that somebody blue and weird looking landed in Emerald Lake. So we're going to go rush over to Emerald Lake because we believe, and it is, spoiler alert, it is, we believe it's our good friend Doraemon, the fifth and final character of our lineup. Oh wow, that was a little fake and strange. What's happening? There we go. That was a little weird, my bad. Alright. So yes, indeed it is Doraemon, but unfortunately Doraemon's dead. Which is, you know, that's sad. Now, when we get into some of the more walkie sections, I'll explain a bit of the nuances behind the name of this category. Basically, though, with any % no door early, there's a particular item called the Anywhere door, and there's a way we can kind of do a pseudo New Game Plus kind of deal and start the game with an item that allows us to teleport around to any area in the game. We're doing the category that doesn't have that, and the reason for that is because that category is extremely not marathon safe at all. Any % no door early, way safer. And there's a pretty big difference between the two as well. A little over 10 minutes. Tater beef jerky. The man, the myth, the legend. Alright, so now that we got Doraemon on our team, we got to go back to the house here, and we're going to be talking to Kaoru. And Kaoru here basically is saying, hey, we're trapped in a strange world, and we need food. And I hear there's some trees over there at Emerald Lake that have food. It's interesting because we have to go all the way over here to pick up this, I guess it's essentially an apple. And we never use it. It's just a required trigger to beat the game. So you're probably already noticing something about this game, which is, man, we've already been to this lake twice and walked past that bridge twice now. Well, I got news for you. If you like see the same geometry over and over, you're in the right place. This game's got a whole lot of that. Alright, so we got our fruit. And we're going to go back this way. And now we're going to actually meet the God of Light. We're going to meet the character proper. He's essentially going to approach us and tell us, hey, the Crystal of Light was taken out of the pedestal in the Temple of Light. We need to return it back to the pedestal of light within the temple. Fun fact about this game, all of the original Japanese voice actors for the Doraemon anime in the 70s reprised their roles. Quite fascinating. You can tell where they put their budget. Sure. One of the longest text triggers in the game. Now, for those of you curious about how the text is going as fast as it is, I'm using Turbo. Turbo is allowed in this game. Bit of a taboo sort of thing, but yeah. Turbo is allowed in this game for a few reasons. Reason number one is the excessive amount of text in the game. Reason number two is there's some tricks that are essentially require Turbo. And we decided that it would just be good for the game's future if we allowed it, and it would open up more tech, make the game comfier to play in general. So now we're meeting the titular villains of the game. This is Mina and Pune. We really like Mina in the Doraemon community. It's good waifu material. Anyway, they're blocking the way. And all we gotta do is use that stopwatch object we just picked up. Bam, wham, doodle. Like so. Then it explains, hey, we need to get some sleep. So, we're gonna go to sleep. Now, we're gonna be sleeping a lot in this game. And in very large increments. So, prepare yourself for that. So after we sleep once, it sort of advances the story flags, and we come out of there, and we talk to that villager there, and he says, hey, the red crystal that is part of our village's, culture or whatever was stolen by the villains. Oh no. We're going to come out here and we're going to steal it back, naturally. This particular object is extremely important for the... Well, it does something in the final boss that if we don't have it, you can't even fight the final boss. So it is a required thing. There is only one object I'll be picking up during the course of the run that isn't required to beat the game. I'll explain it when we get to it. Yeah. Alright. So after that cutscene plays, we come over here. We come up here. So gonna walk up here. And earlier, when we were walking across this field, we picked up this object here, which is the invisible paint. It allows us to sneak closer to them and take the red crystal. Red gem. Whatever you want to call it. Alright. Then we gotta go back in the chief's house again. Gonna jump over this. Text trigger, and bam, go in. So this here, we call this guy the professor. Anytime we see this guy, you know we're about to get to a dungeon. Yes, you're right, dungeon. There are dungeons. And they're pretty cool, actually. Third one is a little weird in this category. You'll all see what I mean when we get to that. We're going to be doing some pretty major glitches to essentially bypass the whole thing. But first two dungeons you'll get to see in their entirety. Mostly. We're not going to be getting some of the optional things. But anyway, he basically explains that, hey, we need to go back to Emerald Lake. We're going to go back to Emerald Lake, and once we're here, we got to activate 3 pedestals. There is a fast order to do them in, and of course we are going to do them in the fastest order. First pedestal is here. Second pedestal is a little bit further away. In the meantime, though, if you like what you're seeing here, definitely check out the Doraemon community as a whole, the Doraemon 64 community. All 3 games have really nice communities, a decent amount of resources, honestly, as well, for as obscure as these games are. And this game here in particular has seen a lot of development. I mean, a lot. Some of them you're going to see in this run as well. And it's interesting because I actually haven't ran this category in almost a year, which may sound scary. That may sound like, dude, you're doing this for a marathon. Why didn't you de-rust this? I thought it would be interesting to get a PB during a marathon, and trust me, PB is going to be free because of the new tricks. The door early route is much more complex, so we'll be fine. What's up, Stellar? Nice. Alright, so after we activate the 3rd pedestal, a secret 4th pedestal appears. We get an in-game timer on screen. Oh no! Oh my god, are we gonna make it? I don't know. It's so far away. What if we run out of time? What if we fall? What's gonna happen? We're never gonna make it in time. Ah! Okay, yeah, we made it. Look at this dungeon. Look at dungeon. Look at this dungeon. That's a little song we like to sing in the community anytime you hear this song. Called the Look at This Something. We'll be doing it a time or two later as well. Good stuff. Alright, so now the first dungeon is officially open, and we're going to be going into it. In order to go into it, we got to use the paper boat that I just picked up. Wrong category. I scrolled one too many times in the inventory. Little quirk there. Let's go in. Normally, I wouldn't save there. It does cost a little bit of time to save, but I'd rather make a safety save in case something crashes or goes weird. Since, you know, this is a marathon run. Alright, so welcome to the first dungeon. This is Alien Ruins. Now, Alien Ruins is pretty... I wish I could say it was basic. It used to be basic, but it's pretty much the hardest dungeon in the game now, as a whole. There's two really hard tricks. Well, they're not hard. They're just finicky. This, I guess, is the better term for it. So, yeah. The first thing we did is we grabbed a key, and I ran past that door there and unlocked it on the way, which is slightly faster. And then we grabbed a gun. If you're like, that just looked like straight up a revolver, Kefka. Yes, it sure did. And you know what? That's because it is. And, you know, little girl with a revolver just running around. Good stuff. We're going to come around this corner here. We're going to shoot this switch like, boop. We got a timer to get the door. Now, there is a slightly quicker way that saves about 2 seconds to hit that switch, but it's very difficult. And there's another quicker way you can do it if you have the grenade item, but we are unable to get that item early. Category. Weasel our way around here. Pretty cool little skip coming up in here. It's kind of skip you wouldn't even know is a skip if you don't know the game. Gonna run to right, y'all. Like so. And what I did there is I shot a switch that was off screen. If I would have taken another step or two forward, it would have activated a text trigger saying, hey, there's a switch over there we can interact with. And if you kind of line yourself up just the right way, you won't get that text trigger. Saves a couple seconds. I also jumped across that thing there. It's like a trap door. There's an item you can use that will make the trap door not open. Yeah. So, coming through here, you'll notice there are a lot of kind of tight corridor, mazy sort of movement. That is no accident. Game's very dense on the on the mazes, as you'll see as we go a little further. In here, we can grab this, and we're getting pretty close actually to the end of this dungeon. Dungeon's quite short. The second dungeon is my favorite. Definitely the most technical in terms of movement. But we're getting ready to come up to a couple of skips that are quite tricky. If I get it. Trying to, you know, board us. They push over these things like essentially sentinels. Alright, so normally you have to fight these guys to get past this door. Oh, perfect. That was beautiful. Yep. So you can have them push you through the door like that. We call that mini boss skip. That was found by 7th Armstrong in chat, actually. Or rather, the consistent method, or more consistent, was found by 7th Armstrong. So, yeah, pretty cool little trick. Skip's having to fight those little dudes. And we're here at the dungeon boss. Now, the dungeon boss is pretty unique. You can actually skip this boss entirely. I'm going to definitely go for the skip at least once or twice, and if I don't get it, we'll just fight it like normal. It's a very short fight. Oh. Okay, out of all the things I've never done before, that is certainly one of them. I've never jumped over the switch entirely. That's a new one. Bro. Having a little bit of scruff McGruff going on here with these switches. That's all right. So you have to hit these switches in the correct order. It creates a bridge. We'll see what happens. I'm going to try to get the boss skip. We got it. We nailed it. Cool. So basically, I jumped around the trigger there. And, you know, we didn't fight the boss. And then we're going to sleep for 2 days straight. Fun stuff. Okay, so you'll notice on the top right corner of the screen, there is a tree, picture of a tree. Basically, the 7 days of the week correspond to different sort of elements. This particular day is called Tree Day, and we need it to be Tree Day in order to proceed forward in a particular area. Basically, Tree Day makes different foliage and such grow taller, and there's some mushrooms we have to climb. So, yeah. Now, it's another thing that you all didn't get to see is we can actually change the flow of time in this game with the settings on the clock. Meaning we can make time pass a little faster, or like a regular speed, or slow. We have it set to slow in this run for a very specific reason, because we're trying to hit a character cycle. And what I mean by that is, in this next village coming up, and oh, trust me, you guys will see this village a lot. We have to talk to some NPCs in a particular order. And they are at particular places in the village at particular times. So, we need it to be a specific time upon arrival in order to catch the cycle of these characters. Luckily, time doesn't pass during cutscene. I try not to talk during the cutscenes because, I don't know, there's some intrigue about hearing the original voice actors. Alright, so we needed it to be Tree Day so that these mushrooms are tall. Climb up. We're going to grab this here. That is the bean. Good old magic bean. We're going to come up here, and we're going to see this villager. Now, this villager is one of the residents of Branny Village. Probably the worst place in the game, if I had to pick one. Mostly because it's a very uninspired sort of location. We spend a lot of time there. A lot of time there, indeed. Anyway, talk to them. They say, oh, I'll drop the pendant. And then we go down here, and we take the item that they just gave us, which is a piece of candy. A piece of candy allows us to go underwater and not drown, essentially, and grab their pendant for it. Talk to them, and we give their pendant back, and go into the simple little section. Okay, here we are. Welcome to Branny Village. This game's version of, I don't know. It's something. Spend a lot of time here. I really don't like this place. You're like, man, that's a lot of stairs. I hope you like stairs. We're going to be climbing these stairs like 8. Fabulous. Anyway, our first mission here is we need to go talk to the chat. You'll notice that when I go upstairs, I'm kind of scooting into the wall and repeatedly jumping. Save some frames to do that. Not anything significant, but, you know, it's easy to do, so we might as well. Skip off that little bit of tiny time. Mouse. Talk to the chief. Okay, so from here, we need to go into this area. This is Ruby Canyon. And there's a text trigger gotta get here. And then we walk back and we walk back in and walk back out. That causes that NPC to spawn right there. And then we're gonna walk right here and we're gonna talk to somebody through the ground. Or we're not. Excuse me? Oh, they're in the house. Okay. I was thinking where they were in the door early category. That is my bad. Okay. Okay. Here. Talk to this character. And we're gonna go to sleep. We have to sleep to advance the trigger. And we're using an item that we picked up way back at the beginning. Called the sleep capsule. It's basically allows us to sleep. Alright. Here. Talk to them. We leave the village. Basically, what's going on is that particular villager is sick, and their sibling has ran off to a very dangerous place to find medicine. I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it. The place isn't dangerous at all. Like, not even in the slightest. Get a little skip here. Yeah, their sibling is right here. Says, oh, I believe the medicine is in here, but chief of the village has the key to let me into that super dangerous place. So then we go find the chief of the village. I believe the chief of the village is going to be a little higher up the town than what I'm used to. We'll find out. Fun little speedrun experiment during a marathon run. I'm nonchalant like that. I was correct. They are indeed further up than what I'm used to. Wrong one. There we go. Okay, now we have the key to what is called we call it the flower maze. It's indeed a maze. However, very recently, less than a year ago, we found something called Maze Skip. Probably one of the hardest skips in the game. It's a little bit better. It's a bigger time save in door early category because we work out of the maze. But it is still quicker. You know what? Just watch. It'll make sense. Normally, you have to do the maze like normal and then leave the maze normal as well. So you have to do the maze forwards and backwards. But, don't. Come on. Come on. There we go. Not bad. So yeah, we clipped out of bounds, and that allows us to skip going through the maze forwards. But we do still have to go through it backwards. Unfortunately. In the door early category, we would already have the item that allows us to warp anywhere. Simply just warp out of the maze. But we don't have that option. Just, you know, somewhat unfortunate, but oh well. Here. Plant the magic bean that we grabbed earlier, and it grows a beanstalk. This allows us to climb up and go, climb up into the village anytime we want. It doesn't need to be 3 days to climb the mushroom. And we now have the medicine flower that we got out of the center. We're going to go deliver that to the village. And then we're going to go do probably one of the funniest things in this route. We're going to sleep 7 days straight. Always a good time. Who here likes sleep? Sleep is goated, and we all know it. Unfortunately, in order to sleep, we have to go to the chief's house. And we need to count it. 7 sleeps, chat. If we sleep an extra time, we gotta sleep 6 more times in a row. So we gotta count the sleeps, chat. That's the name of the game at the moment. 1. 2 sleep. 3 sleeps. Okay, I'll stop. I'm sorry. I'm in an interesting mood today. I'm down to clown. Get what I'm saying. 4 sleep. 5. 7. So those of you who are astute will notice that we slept a full week and we just made it the same day that it already was. Why did we do that? The reason for that is we need it to be wind day in order to progress later in the run. But on top of that, we also needed to sleep once in order to advance the story flag in the game. So, you gotta sleep 7 times. There is technically a way to skip having to do that, but it's extremely difficult, and not even the world record route goes that particular. Coming up here, we're going to talk to this person next to this broken kite. And the game is going to force us to play as Noby. The only other time we're going to be playing as a different character. We're going to make a little pit stop here. Grab this. The voice solidifier. Which leads to the best cutscene in the game. In my opinion. One of the funniest ones. One of the weirdest ones. And what's going on now is we got to find an item to help that guy fix his kite. And he informs us that he believes there's something that can help us at Emerald Lake. So if you're wondering, wait, Kefka, do we seriously have to walk all the way back to Emerald Lake and then all the way back to the village? Yep. Sure do. This is why a lot of people prefer the early category. A lot less repeatedly going back and forth through the same area. However, I will say this category is a lot more friendly. Door Early is a very complex route that's very difficult to understand if you don't know the game. So if you want to get into this game, I definitely recommend doing this category first, as it will sort of familiarize you with the general order of operations, so to speak. Coming this way, we're going to be grabbing an item that is called the Time Handkerchief. Now, this item doesn't appear until after we talk to the guy with the kite, unfortunately. We couldn't have grabbed this earlier. I wish you could have. Save a ton of time, but not a thing, sadly. And then we got to go all the way back. Fun stuff. We are going to get a cutscene right up here at this bridge. Longest cutscene in the game, actually. About a 50-some seconds. So they tried to just shoot us, and our little buddy saved us, pretty much. Blew up the bridge. But now we can't get across. you know, it's not good. We use the cell phone item, and we call them, and we say, hey, come get us. So right there, the game defaults you to Doraemon, and yes, we just purposefully lost a second and a half because I want to play Sue. We're petty like that in Kefka14. I gotta play as my goat. Yeah, we can't be having none of that, none of them other characters. No, no, no. And now we gotta go get Noby. And if you're like, wait a minute, didn't we just do this? Didn't we just go past this area? Yep. Yep, we sure did. The good news, though, is we're finally basically done with the Branny Village section of the game. And here's the best cutscene in the game. Everybody get your WAs ready in chat. W-A, WA. So that is the voice solidifier. Basically, he yelled and his voice became a solid piece of corporeal matter. And turned into a bridge. What a concept. So, we are about to do our final climb up Branny Village. The final ascent up the first part of the game. And then we're going to be going into Ruby Canyon and getting into Dungeon 2 very shortly. My personal favorite, Diana's Roof. Indeed, there is a lot of running around in this. The Door Early category has a lot less running around. There's still quite a bit of running around, but since you can warp anywhere, it cuts out a lot of this backtracking and so forth. But that category is not safe for an event in the slightest. And I'm sure 7th Armstrong in chat runs that category as well. I'm sure he can attest to the fact that, yeah, that's not a very good marathon category. It's cool to watch, but it's very confusing. A lot of very, like, a lot of kind of tricks where if you mess them up, like, lose minutes kind of situations. So now that we're back with the time handkerchief, finally. Use the time handkerchief here. We need a boundary break episode. I want to see the kite get fixed under the blanket. So we talked to him. He says, hey, thanks for fixing my kite. I've left a little present for my house. Quote StarFox64, the alternate boss in Corn area. I've got a present for you. And it's actually a really good present. Required item for the game, but it's also like pretty cool quality of life present. That's the Scud Shoe. It increases our movement speed by a pretty significant margin. Coming into Ruby Canyon. Stand here for a second. And the reason for that, you'll notice in just a moment, there'll be a big tornado. Yep. This is the reason we need it to be wind day. Is we need that tornado to be a tiny bit slow. He's around it right there like that. Now we are in... the Doraemon community has a song we like to sing. Just as inspired as the other one. Clear my throat here. Go. Alright. Go. Ruby Canyon, Ruby Canyon, Ruby Canyon, Ruby Canyon. Good stuff, right? So, anyway, the object of Ruby Canyon is it's kind of a maze, and you gotta hit a few different switches. There are a total of 3 switches. That's the first, obviously. Learning your way through the different mazes is probably one of the more challenging aspects of actually fit right between those two little tornadoes there and make the line slightly shorter. Saves like 0.2 seconds. I didn't want to bother. It's just as easy to take damage and lose all the time saved. And we are very close to entering the second dungeon. In my opinion, the best dungeon. Got really cool movement when it goes well. I haven't decided if I'm gonna go full YOLO mode with it yet or not. One of the weirder sequences in the game because you get to the entrance to the dungeon and the game shows you, it's like, look, here's the dungeon. We're like, yep, dungeon. Cool, let's go into the dungeon. Got it. There it is. There's the door. Sick. Take a couple steps forward, then the game's like, here's the dungeon again. Now we're gonna open the door. I don't understand why they made that two distinct triggers. Doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but, you know, what do I know? Again, I am gonna make a save. And here we go. Dungeon 2, Dineth Room. So it immediately starts off, we're gonna jump on this switch, jump up here, grab these gloves. I hope I did that. I didn't. We have to go back down the hallway. In the other category that we don't need to bother with that. Oof. That's okay. Live and learn. Alright. Little time lock. Nothing major at all. Yeah, we needed that switch. So we're gonna equip the gloves here. It's gonna be the only, well, not the only time we use them, but the only time we use them for their sort of tertiary function is to push blocks. Here, grab this key. Gotta push the block back across. Back down this hallway and then we get my favorite item, maybe one of my favorite items in gaming. So much so that this is my avatar, like my profile picture, all my accounts. Item. Faint Bang Grenade. Yeah, it's a grenade. Not really a lot to say about it. It's got a really cool design, though. Alright, now we're getting into the cool stuff of this dungeon. The actual movement. See how good I can do this. When this dungeon goes well, it looks... Ah! Straight down the middle of those. It looks scarier than it is. Die. Down this corner. So the shortest cut. Not the shortest. Pretty short. Alright. Stop right here. Pass. Usually what that does is it'll allow us to not get hit by this boulder. And it did. Sometimes these boulders have a little bit of a random element to it. Sometimes it won't matter. And I'm glad we didn't, though. Alright, hardest room in the game in terms of movement. What happens here? Oh, baby. We're schmoving. Crisp looking. That guy up. You can actually skip blowing that guy up, but marathon, we'll play. Oh, we're gonna skip. Oh, we're gonna jump right over, and then we're gonna get to the second boss. Very easy boss. I'm literally gonna do it blindfolded right now. You have to take my word for it. Win. But we literally skipped. Okay, let's see if I can get the cycle skip. Cool. The cycle skip I got there, the thing that we just jumped up on top of, bobs up and down. Jump quick enough there, you can jump onto it without having to wait. Save about 8 seconds. Cool. There's Dungeon 2. Alright. So now we're going to the last area of the game, and the game wraps up really quick after you get out of the second. You can tell that A, the developers were out of ideas, or B, it was crunch time. So they sort of just, you know, hammered the game out of the door. Because we're less than 15 minutes out from the end. For sure. Alright, so this is the last maze of the game. Amber Cave. We have a song for this area too. It's a pretty cool song, I guess. Cave. This is one of the other longest cutscenes. I believe this is the second longest. Not counting. Fortunately, will incapacitate. Like, oh no! Come on, little guy. Weird emulator quirk. Fun times. Okay. Welcome to the last village. We don't spend much time here at all. This is Bologna Village. Want to be really cheeky? Bologna Village. Bologna. I'm actually not moving right now. The game automatically... Kind of weird. Come over here towards this. Activate this. We're rapidly approaching. But we do have one very risky trick left. Fun. But I am gonna go for it. I debated on going for it or not. But I'm gonna do a wrong warp. Oh, a wrong warp is frame perfect. Get one chance at it. Mess it up, we lose minutes. Not seconds, minutes. And I'm gonna go for it. Why? The homeboy don't care. Oh, this is Lily Valley. Last overworld area of the entire game. We're going to be coming through here twice. At least it's an interesting area. wise. Jumps and stuff. Across here, get a text trigger. Like, grab this. This is an item called Clouds in a Can. Those of you wondering what it is, Clouds in a Can. So you're supposed to collect a second Clouds in a Can there, but I did a glitch there called Turbo Item Select that allowed me to essentially queue up and use the item a second time, even though I didn't even have a second. One of the 2 times you'll be seeing. And then we go all the way back to Laguna Village. On the way, we are going to talk to one character and get essentially the last object in the run, other than the crystal we get for being right there. Cool jump, and here's another cool jump. Oh, coming in. Oh my god. What? What was happening on screen there? I've never seen whatever that was. That was wild. I don't know what was going on there. I don't know how I even talked to the character. I ain't gonna complain, but... wild stuff going on there. Cool little skip there. Oh yeah! Shortest cutscene in the by a large margin. All right. So, enter the final dungeon. Gonna grab this item here, called the Anywhere Door. Allows us to warp anywhere. We're immediately. Okay. If I screw this up, we lose minutes. But you're like, wait, why did we go back to the first dungeon? We're gonna be doing a wrong warp. The wrong warp is gonna warp us all the way to the last room of Dungeon 3. But much shorter than actually doing Dungeon 3. Cool little trick there, throwing the grenade down. I just can't mess this up. If I mess it up, lose literally minutes. You know, is obviously really bad. Makes me very nervous to go for a trick like this in a marathon. Luckily, it's an easy trick to do. Still makes me nervous. Why are the textures all weird? What? We got it. We got the wrong warp. About filled. Gonna grab that. That is the upgrade gas. Cool. So this is the third boss, the boss of the third dungeon. We like to call this guy Ball Man. You'll understand why, because, you know, the Ball Man. We start the fight off by running into this ball, and pretty much you can only kill this guy during phase 3. Toss a few grenades and maybe try to get some pot shots, you know? But ultimately, phase 3 is when we're going to kill this guy. Cool. Yeah, on phase 3, you can just spam grenades and just wipe that guy off the face of the planet really fast. And that basically allows us to skip the entirety of Dungeon 3. Pretty cool. What I'm doing right now is I'm actually going to do a safety heal. Put these crystals in the pedestals. Boom, bang, bada boom. Flippity blip, we're going to the final boss, folks. The way that wrong warp works, by the way, is if you mash really fast, frame perfect to be going on to your menu, allows you to warp anywhere. The game doesn't have time to properly reference text, so it automatically warps you to that corresponds with the. That's why we went to a specific room in the dungeon, and then we warp. What happens to on to the final room, Dungeon 3. Pretty cool little situation on it. The final boss, very strange final boss. Call it the Obelisk. I believe that's the king. Oh, could be wrong. There is one more cutscene before we can actually fight. Now let's see if we can get the quick kill on the boss. If we don't, not a huge deal. I'd like to, though. So the red gem we picked up way earlier in the run spawns these platforms, allow us to actually ride up and down and fight the boss itself. First, we're going to come right here. We're going to equip the gun. Goal in this phase is to shoot these little islets. Cool. Then we got to go around and hope we don't fall. Falling is bad. So we're going to equip the grenade here. We're going to go up here, and we're going to use the upgrade gas, which increases our attack power for 10 seconds. What that allows us to do, get a faster cycle there. Come down here, and we're going to punch the guy. We're going to punch the tower. Bam. That's the run. Also, That's a PB by more than a minute for me. Because I hadn't ran this yet, and I intentionally done that so that I would set a PB. Thought it would be kind of implement tech. Sounded like a fun challenge, and the ploy worked. We are 6 minutes under estimate, and I got a PB by more than a minute. That's Doraemon 2. Honestly, really good game. It's a lot better than what it looks like it is, but it's not as loved or as fun as the first and third game in the trilogy. Coming up next, I'm going to be running the third game. Yeah. I hope you all enjoyed. Thanks for the GG. Always cool to set a PB, especially during a live event. Often. Also, it's worth noting, that's my first sub 1 hour run of this. I broke a minute barrier, and it did. Pretty cool feeling. Doraemon. 7th nose. It is kind of crazy to think about, isn't it, Stellar? Not only did I get sub 1, I got sub 1 in regular old any percent. This game's come along. I'm still quite a bit off the world record. About roughly 90 seconds. That's okay. I didn't expect to get record. Not grinded this category. I believe, though, that we are going to go to some sort of ignition for a moment while I get the next game up. I'm ready to do that whenever marathon staff is.